with Christ consciousness. We are one with the one infinite, eternal Creator. 7-year-old Seymour wrote a letter to God, and here's how the letter went. Dear God, how come you did all those miracles in the old days and don't do any now? As many of you know, I started a series on conditions for manifesting miracles in the beginning of June, and then we skipped last week in order to celebrate the Divine Masculine and Father's Day. And so I resume today with the last 4 conditions for manifesting miracles. We've been using from Matthew 14:13 through 23, the miracle of the loaves and fishes as a way to learn about manifesting miracles, because if we tease apart the Greek words of that particular passage, we will discover that there's a blueprint that shows us how we can create the conditions for manifesting miracles. And so I want to read, as a reminder, that passage from Matthew, from my Jerusalem Bible that I picked up in Jordan, I believe, actually, or the Jordan River, by the Jordan River, covered in olive tree wood. And I did something highly illegal. You're not supposed to do this. Olive tree branch. Not supposed to do, shh, don't tell anybody. They'll come and arrest me. This passage picks up after Jesus has just learned that his dear friend and mentor, John the Baptist, has been brutally killed. When Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. When the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitudes away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves some food. But Jesus said unto them, They need not depart. Give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, Bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat and were filled, and they took up the fragments, and remained 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. So to answer Seymour's letter to God, if I may be so bold, I believe God might answer in this way. You too can do these things I do. His emissary Jesus said so. You too can do these things I do and greater still. And so I believe that in these times of upheaval, in these times where there are disturbances in the force, in the human experience, that it's a good time for us to learn to manifest miracles as awesome normalities, as normal part of life. And so maybe we can help little 7-year-old Seymour learn to manifest miracles as well, in co-creation with God, not in dependency, but in co-creation and partnership. Now, I know that some people have a bit of discomfort with the word miracle. It seems to be a bridge too far, perhaps. What I would say to you is get over it. But barring that, as a stepping stone to getting over discomfort with the word miracles, I would say if that really bothers you, then substitute the word intentions or possibilities or dreams. But don't let that get in your way. And perhaps that incredible scientist, Albert Einstein, can help you a little bit. He wrote, "There are only two ways that you can live. One is as if nothing is a miracle. The other is as if everything is a miracle. I believe the latter." I think smart advice from a brilliant man. I want to go back and briefly do a little recap, a little reminder of the 8 conditions for manifesting miracles that we've already talked about. The first condition is emptiness. Jesus goes into the desert, into empty space, into the void, to be quiet and alone and to open and be receptive. We are called to release what's in our way. We're called to give out anything that is not necessary or not supporting us anymore, to let the flow open up so that we can be available to and receptive to that which we seek. And when we empty out, we create a void, a vacuum, a receptive space into which more can flow, because a vacuum will literally draw things into it. Second condition is alignment. Jesus, who had gone to be alone, saw the crowd that had followed him. Now, he didn't go, "Oh, darn, I was hoping to be alone." He looked at them and he was moved by compassion to serve and to feed the crowd that had followed him, the crowd that had filled up the empty space. He wanted to feed them on all levels, physical, emotional, mental, and most especially spiritual. We're called to move into compassion and service, because compassion and service connects us to our highest and deepest self, connects us to God, connects us to others, connects us to the flow of good in our lives. The third condition is asking. The crowd asked for food. They made their hunger known to the disciples, who then made it known to Jesus. We're called to clarify and to communicate a clear what of our intention and desire. A clear what. We're called to put our asking into clear, powerful words so the universe can fill it, can fulfill our asking, our request. The fourth condition is maximizing. Jesus focused on appreciation for what they had rather than moving into a space of lack for what they did not have. He opened to believe and then to receive sufficiency, to receive what was needed and then some. We're called to focus on what we have, to maximize what we have. As the law of attraction teaches, what we give our attention to increases and expands. The fifth condition of a miracle, of manifesting miracles, is giving. The flow of the loaves and fishes began with giving from a small boy who gave the fishes and loaves that he had to the disciples, who then gave them to Jesus. And then the food began to be broken up and passed, and it miraculously multiplies. And people added whatever little bit they may have brought with them. Our giving stimulates the flow of good in all directions, and it literally increases our resources. But we must start the giving in order to open the flow. The sixth condition is grounding. Jesus tells the crowd to sit down on the grass in order to ground them. If we tease apart the Greek language, it really translates as lay back in the garden. And most of us know there are not a whole lot of gardens in the desert, but this really harkens us back to the Garden of Eden. It's a metaphor for the Garden of Eden, where we lie back into the paradise in the fullness of the Garden of Eden with the innocence of our childlike being, the innocence with which we came into the world, with which the world was created, to lie back into the garden. We, at a practical level and a human level, we can use meditation. Meditation can ground us and center us in the present moment. And the present moment is where we have power. And grounding, centering in the present moment makes us available to the flow of good that exists all around us and within us. The seventh condition is restoring vision. Jesus looked up to the heavens. He elevated his consciousness. He restored his vision to the source of all creation and power and presence. We are called to focus our thoughts and our feelings on the source of all creation, on the source of all good, to dwell in the source, and to raise our consciousness to the infinite possibilities available to us. We're called to catch God's vision and then to visualize a vivid picture and vivid feeling in our minds and in our souls, to literally live the experience inwardly so that it begins to attract and manifest outwardly. The eighth condition, gratitude. Jesus blessed and gave thanks for the perfect, abundant blessing of food, not just food for the body, but food for thought, food for the soul. The infinite blessing of food for body, mind, and spirit. We're called to practice gratitude and appreciation, which then affirms and deepens our faith in what's possible. And then what we have literally appreciates and expands. To give you an example, we've got a group of people here at Unity of Sarasota that have this idea and this energy for manifesting a miracle. And the miracle they are calling forth is to create gardens throughout our campus, gardens that different individuals or pairs of individuals or groups of individuals will take ownership and love up and nurture. And so we're applying those conditions of manifesting miracles. And we already have, I don't know, 5 to 7 people involved in this. The first thing they did was to empty the space, to clear out the weeds and the rocks and the whatever was in the way, to clear the space, to empty the space, and then to move into alignment with the natural laws of growth rather than the man-made toxic ways of growing things. They want to move into the alignment with the natural laws of nature. Then they asked for more information about how to do that, but also asking each other, asking other people, and inviting them into this miracle as well. And the whole thing is about maximizing this beautiful campus, maximizing the gift, the blessing that we have, and making more of it. It's about giving of time and talent and treasure. It's about grounding, literally being in the ground, grounding the nurturance of all of the universe into the ground and grounding ourselves in it, restoring our vision of what's possible here, and restoring our vision to the source and knowing that we are in divine partnership. And then gratitude for those who step up, gratitude for what grows up, gratitude for the miracle that we are manifesting together. So now we move into the last 4 conditions. The 9th condition for manifesting miracles is acting as if. The hungry crowd watches intently as Jesus acts as if the supply is sufficient. He simply moves forward. He moves into action. He acts by breaking the bread and tearing apart the pieces of fish and giving it to the disciples to distribute. He moves into action with confidence. He prays and visualizes and then acts with belief and conviction and faith and confidence that all will unfold perfectly. Spirit in the universe funnels energy into those who prepare and act. Not those who sit around waiting, but those who prepare and act. Prepare the conditions for manifesting miracles and then act upon it. We must set our thoughts and our dreams into motion. We must act to mobilize the transformation that we're bringing forward. The levels of the process of miracle manifestation go like this. We catch Spirit's vision, the seed idea, and then we visualize a vivid picture in our mind's eye. And then we feel deeply that experience in our soul and in our body. And then we affirm it with spoken and written word as if it is already so, as if it's already so. And then we act as if the intention, the possibility, the miracle is real right now. We act as if. And we activate the 9th condition of manifesting miracles by beginning to take action right now. Do not procrastinate. Take action right now. Expect a miracle. Expect a miracle, but at the same time, be patient with the process and the timing of its perfect unfolding. Persist no matter what. Persist no matter what happens. Keep acting as if. Eliminate any thoughts, beliefs, habits, or actions that are contrary to your intention. So I ask you to consider, what action will you take to move yourself forward? What action can you take this very week to move yourself forward in the direction of your dreams, your miracles, your possibilities? Not only consider it, take the action. Act as if it's already so. The 10th condition for manifesting miracles is engaging the cycle. Engaging the cycle. The miracle of the loaves and fishes is a circular flow of energy and resources. Let me describe that. The first 9 conditions of manifesting miracles is all about the energy that flows toward Jesus. He creates that emptiness, that void, that receptivity into which the universe begins to fill. He goes to that empty space in the desert, and very shortly thereafter, the crowd fills up the space and follows him there. The boy comes with some loaves and fishes and hands that food to the disciples, who hand it to Jesus. And so all the energy is flowing into that empty space that's been created, into alignment. So all of the first 9 miracles are about flowing in, flowing in. The circle is moving in. But when we arrive at the 10th condition, engaging the cycle, Jesus takes the food from the disciples, but he starts to break it apart, and then he gives it back out to the disciples, who give it back out to the crowd. So now the energy that's come this way is now going outward. Extra food is gathered, and it's returned back to Jesus to create the readiness to start a new cycle of miracles. And so it continues in the cycle. We continue in the cycle. Receiving and giving is a continuous cycle with no beginning and no end. The conditions for miracles multiply the power and the outcomes exponentially. It's kind of like having an electrical transformer. There's a certain amount of energy that goes into the transformer, but it's increased by the transformer so that the power that comes out, the voltage that comes out, is much more than what went in. And so for us, our raised consciousness, our Christ consciousness, is the transformer that increases our power as it goes back out again in full expression of who we truly are. We're called to always keep the energy cycles moving. Keep the energy cycles moving. You see it in nature everywhere. Everything must move in cycles. If it doesn't, it stagnates. The cycles of cause and effect, of reap and sow, of giving, receiving, of ebb and flow. These are patterns that you see in nature. The 11th condition of manifesting miracles is receiving. Jesus, the disciples, the crowd received abundant flow of loaves and fishes. Abundant flow. In the 2nd book of Kings, there's another example. There's a woman whose husband has just died and left her in deep, deep debt. She goes to Elijah, who advises her. He says, "What assets do you have?" And she said, "I have 1 jar of oil at home." He said, "Go and collect as many empty jars as you possibly can find. Then go get your 1 jar of oil and start to fill each of those jars." She went and did that. She borrowed jars from her neighbors or anywhere she could find them, and she began to take that 1 jar of oil and fill a jar, and then the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. And pretty soon she had several jars filled with oil. There seemed to be an infinite supply in her one jar. She took those jars she'd filled and sold them and was able to pay off her debts so that her sons were not put into slavery to the lender. What this illustrates for us is what's true in the universe, that there is an infinite supply of good available to us, but what we receive is limited by our containers, limited by our own receptivity. How much will you allow yourself to fill up? So ask yourself, how big and how open am I to receive Spirit's blessing? How open and receptive am I to receive Spirit's blessing? And then we must pay attention with a clear, quiet, receptive mind. Ground ourselves in the power of the present moment awareness and to open to receive endless opportunities and possibilities and choices. But we have to be available to those. We have to be able to see those. As the song said, I'm looking for a miracle, and a miracle is looking for me. Don't miss the miracle that's looking for you. Be open and receptive, but pay attention. Accept the fulfillment that comes and continue to receive and to fill up with good. Keep it alive. Live it. Keep the blessings and the gifts alive with joy and with gratitude. And meditate to quiet and focus your mind so that you can pay attention and recognize gifts as they flow toward you. Develop a wide open consciousness, because miracles operate at the level of open consciousness. What are you open to receive this very week? What are you open to receive this very week? Open your eyes, open your ears, pay attention. Most importantly, open your consciousness, open your spirit, open your spiritual eyes and ears. There are gifts coming your way. The 12th condition of manifesting miracles is recycling. Recycling. The disciples gathered the excess food. There were 12 baskets that they put aside to use later. When we tease apart the Greek word for excess, what it really means is a state of superabundance, a state of more than enoughness. The miracle conditions, when they come together, create more than enough to spare and to share. And so we continue the flow of energy after the miracle. A lot of people think once the miracle has arrived, that's the end. It's not the end. In many ways, it's the beginning. We want to continue the flow of energy after the miracle has arrived, because it creates momentum for the next miracle, and that next miracle then flows with more effortless ease than the one before. We're continually gaining momentum. The big momentum. Nature operates in a universal pattern of recycling. If you watch, the animals and the plants recycle each other's waste and byproducts and create new life out of it. Our whole ecosystem recycles, creating fuel and energy for the next cycle of life. It happens all around us in the changing of the seasons and in everything. All around us, it's a great metaphor for what is the truth in the universe. Never waste what is unused. Never waste what is unused. Make it useful to someone in some way. Recycle, give out, give away. Recycle the energy and the resources that pass through your life. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Pass those on. Pass it on. Pass on your knowledge. Pass on your goods that you no longer use. Pass on your spiritual awakening and awareness. Pass it on. And so I ask you to just take a moment to evaluate what you have, what you no longer need or use, what can be recycled, what can be passed on, what can be shared. And then let it go with love. Let it go and let someone else partake. If you go to our website or look on the newsletter this Wednesday when it comes out, if you go to the website blog, you'll have another chart, and all 3 charts with all the 12 conditions of manifesting miracles with tips how to do that will be available to you so that you too can continue the flow, continue the momentum of manifesting miracles as normal, awesome normalities, not only in your individual lives, but in our collective life. Dr. Todd Michael wrote, "Each moment you choose to remain either in the dimension of the ordinary or to enter the dimension of the miraculous. Each moment you choose to remain either in the dimension of the ordinary or to enter the dimension of the miraculous. And as you continue walking the razor's edge of your existence, the thoughts you sow flow down the sides of the great slopes of cause and effect, gaining momentum, snowballing, expanding, until they inevitably crest at the critical threshold of manifestation and become the personal reality you see around you." Blessings on your journey of manifesting miracles. Nurture the conditions of emptiness, alignment, asking, maximizing, giving, grounding, restoring vision, gratitude, acting as if, engaging the cycle, receiving, and recycling. All of that on all levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And so it is, and together we say, thank God within and all around me. Amen.